Hey guys, it's your girl Carrie, and today I'm going to be sharing 3 simple, inexpensive floral arrangements using items that I had from the Goodwill already on hand. So let's get started. First up are DIY topiaries using these 2 brass urns that I purchased from the Goodwill many years ago for $1 each. You can clean them up by using a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend to make it really shiny and new, but I always like that aged patina, that aged look. For me, it kind of gives it more of an understated elegance, and it, gives it more character, and that's just me. But you could also paint it if you want. You could spray paint it if your taste is more modern, you want something, more fresh. And the reason that will work is because the shape of this urn is so classic. If you see, it's just a natural shape, and then it has more like of a modern touch at the bottom, just a square base that's stair-stepped or stacked. And I just absolutely love these vases. I've been using them for years. So we're about to give them an update and a makeover. So what you're going to need is, depending on how many you want to make, a vase or urn. And here I'm using 2. And for however many you make, you're going to need some greenery. So I actually have these topiaries right here. Now you can make your own topiaries, but I just have pre-made store-bought ones there, 2 of them. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a glue gun. You're going to need an old knife, a pair of scissors, some glue sticks, rocks of various sizes depending on what size vase you have, and all of these are from Dollar Tree. This is my staple stash. I always keep these items on hand. And then you're also going to need some moss. Again, moss is something I always keep on hand and use over and over again. So I have 2 bags of moss there, and then some more moss right there. That's the reindeer moss over there. So I have 2 types of moss that I'm going to combine together, 2 sizes of rocks. And then you're going to need either some dowels, if you have that on hand. If you don't have that on hand, you can use bamboo skewers. If you have those, you might have those readily available. If not, something sharp that can kind of poke in and stick in something. And then you're also going to need a floral foam. I would recommend the floral foam block, but I don't have any blocks on hand right now. But I do have this circular one that I'm going to cut up and make it fit and work for the purposes of this project. So the first thing you're going to do is this little tip that I like to do, a little tip or trick. You're going to take your tree or your topiary, and you're going to cut off strips of painter's tape. And I usually use painter's tape because painter's tape is easy to peel up and take off. If you use packaging tape or some other kind of tape, it's going to be harder to get off. And I just tape the bottom down. And the reason I do that is because, again, I like to make things double duty, and I don't want to make anything permanent. So by putting the tape down and gluing everything down on here, when I want to take it apart or use it for something else, all I have to do is pull off the blue painter's tape. So I'm going to put the painter's tape at the bottom of the tree, and then next I'm going to start to cut my foam to size. So I'm going to cut out a piece of foam from my block, and then I'm going to measure it to see if it fits in that space. So the foam fits in the space nicely. So now I'm going to just hot glue the foam to the bottom. Okay, so now I have the glue there. I'm going to hot glue that right to the bottom of the tree. So the next step is I cut off another piece of my foam block, and I'm going to stick that down into my vase. Then I'm going to take my dowel and stick it right into that foam block. So now the skewer is sticking inside the foam block, inside the vase. And so I have the foam block under here. And so ultimately what I want to do is sit this on top because it'll stabilize everything. But again, I need to measure how high should my skewer go. So what I'm going to do is just sit the tree here to see how far I need to cut it down. So I need to cut it about, to meet that level. So that much is going to be cut off. And now that I cut that down, what I also did was take some old plastic grocery bags and kind of fill in all the gaps and spaces. Since my block was so skinny, I want that to be stable and not move around. So now I have that done. And what I'm going to do now is just stick my arrangement on top. And now my arrangement is securely tucked on the top. You can't knock it over. It's really secure. So now we need to cover up this brown part here. And that's where the moss and the reindeer moss come in. So I'm just going to take some of my moss and play around with it. So here we go. Both of the trees are finished. And I think I like the one with the more muted moss in it as opposed to filling it up with all of the light green reindeer moss. So I think I'm going to change this one out to mimic that one. And I'll share with you the final product. This is how the topiaries actually turned out. And I do like the muted moss better. Now on to Goodwill project number 2. You guys remember these 3 apothecary jars, the trio that I purchased from the Goodwill some time ago. And I had these styled for Christmas on my, buffet in the kitchen. So now I'm going to just give them an updated look for spring. So what I plan on doing is just taking those same 3 jars, taking some white rocks from the Dollar Tree, again another staple item, and just a few of these yellow florals. So I'm just going to add rocks to the bottom and stick in the yellow florals, and we'll have a simple DIY for spring. I'm going to show you just how easy this updated look for spring is. All I did was just take a floral pick of yellow flowers, and I'm going to just take my vase and stick it right down in there. So as you can see, it goes right down in that hole that's right down there, so it helps it just stand upright, and it already looks beautiful. So now I'm just going to add the rocks to the vase, and voila, we're done. And here is how they look. I'm going to give you a sneak peek as to what my Easter tablescape will look like. If you remember these little bunnies from a couple of years ago that I got from Walmart. And what I think I'm going to do is fill in that bottom with moss and different things like that to create a beautiful Easter spring vignette on the buffet. So stay tuned for that. And what's so great about this setup is after Easter I can remove the little bunnies and just keep the plants inside the apothecary jars, and it still looks very spring-like. So stay tuned for the final setup for my Easter tablescape. Now I just want to put my little bunny together. I picked this up from Home Goods, and again, these types of bunnies don't buy from Pottery Barn and places like that because it can cost an arm and a leg. Your Home Goods, Ross, and all those types of discount stores have very similar, if not the same things for a fraction of the price. And so what I did with him is took a floral arrangement that I already had, and then I took a little bit more of my floral foam, just stuffed it down in there as you can see, and just stuck the entire arrangement right down inside the bunny. And so what I'm going to do is take some of my moss and lay that down in here to give it more of a realistic effect. And here is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you've gotten some ideas on how to repurpose and reuse items that you already have. And until next time, I'm going to keep calm and carry on. Bye guys.